y'all rise with me for the pledge of allegiance. Let's Mr. Davis come forward now.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father God, thank you for this day, Lord, being blessed for this opportunity to come tonight and conduct business. Lord, I pray that be with our community, Lord, to bless it, to guide, guard, and direct us, Lord. Pray that you to be with our first responders, keep them safe, Lord, so that their duties. Pray that you be with those who are making decisions tonight, Lord, and give them wisdom and discernment. Decisions made with wisdom and you. I pray that you will continue to bless our community. You make decisions. Please, Lord, be with us, keep us safe, guide, guard, direct us. Thank you for many blessings, bless all through your son's salvation, God.
Amen. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of you for coming tonight for whatever reason. People online, as you're tuning in, this is our first meeting we've had since we've remodeled our council chambers. I hope pleasing to everyone, and not completely finished with it yet. I'm glad to be able to have our head of our departments and everything up here where people can see them. We've changed the podium around a little bit. But I like it. We're not completely finished yet, but we'll get to that. So thanks again for being here. Council staff, you see the announcements. Are there any corrections or additions you'd like to make to the announcements? Yeah, I'm going to tell about that. A couple things on here. You got the agenda up here. Some things that are near and dear to me. Number one is the Veterans Walk. That will be Friday, July 4th. We meet right here and walk down to the American Legion. Really a good thing to honor our veterans. The 4th of July fireworks, and then our next meeting will be actually July 7th. So it's a little bit later because of July 4th. And also, we don't have on here June the 13th to June the 22nd will be the military makeover with Montel Williams. I'm really proud that they're coming to King to do that. We need volunteers to help from June the 13th through the 22nd, and then the reveal will be June 22nd. So I'd like to make that correction, or addition, I should say, to that. So this time we will open up for public comment. And public comment, this agenda item is included to allow input to the city council from any citizen who wishes to address the council without requesting to be on the agenda. Those who wish to address city council are required to provide their name, address, including city, county of residence, and topic. Speakers shall be courteous in their language and presentation. Any disruption of the meeting, insults, personal attacks, accusations, profanity, vulgar language, inappropriate gestures, or other inappropriate behavior will not be tolerated. If this occurs, the person will be identified and asked to stop or leave. If the behavior continues and they refuse to leave, they will be removed from the council meeting. The speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. The number of speakers on the topic related to a future advertised public hearing matter may be limited at council's discretion. Council reserves the right to request a designated spokesperson for a large group. The spokesperson will be allowed 6 minutes. The public session will be limited to 30 minutes. The council will only listen and not respond, but may decide to place a topic on a future agenda. And first up on our public comment tonight is Mr. Randy Griffin.
Thank you, Council. Last month I he said his door's open, so if anyone else wants to, ask anything, proceed. And I think we left civil toward each other, don't you, Chief? Thank you. Now the next thing is, I'm always up here about water and sewer. That's my biggest thing. Again, I had asked, could we get a amount that we have charged in a year versus how much Forsyth County has processed, so we would know, are we charging for 1 million gallons of sewer and only having Forsyth County 500,000? Do we have that information? I asked that last month, and that was directed to Mr. Barrow, so I assume we don't have it. The other thing is, I would like to have that. I think it should be public record. Is it? And I know you can't answer, Mayor, but it's a question I can ask you. The other thing is, I have copies here. Again, I go back about the water bills, sewer bills. Here's 100 gallons that was used, $139 bill. I still believe we ought to have it prorated 0 to 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, because I can name senior citizens on Timmy Lane that use 700 gallons, 2,600 gallons. And I still say there's a lot of people on fixed income who can't afford a rate like that. Here's my copies. I'm going to give it to you, my email, so if you can give me the information. And I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is James Roberts.
Good evening, everyone. I'm James Roberts. Thank you for allowing me your time tonight. What I'm here to talk to you about is an opportunity that you on the council have to help local businesses and to help people like myself. I'm simply a local delivery driver, a gig worker for local apps and use. And this opportunity will help you raise a little bit of tax revenue, help the business improve, and believe it or not, it will cost you, the city of King, nothing. And that is called the North Carolina Brunch Bill. This bill was signed into law by a previous governor of our state in 2017. It allows for the sale of alcohol at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings instead of the current restriction here in King of noon. Now, I know it's a very polarizing topic to bring up in this community, but if you look around us, Winston-Salem, Mount Airy, Elkin, Dobson, all the communities around us have adopted the brunch bill. King has not brought it up for discussion. What brought it up to me locally was in a local restaurant Sunday morning. The staff was having to explain to people visiting here that they could not serve them until noon. These were people who were accustomed to going to brunches and getting served before noon. And they were a little upset over that, you know. And you watch the staff, starting about 10 minutes before noon, started preparing their orders and had them all lined up on the bar and sit and wait until the clock struck 12 to serve them. You know, that's restriction that is harming our local business. It's harming the economy and harming me as a local gig worker doing deliveries. I do take orders to deliver. Not only affects the restaurants, it affects the grocery stores, it affects the convenience stores. It allows them to sell as well. So I'm here tonight asking council respectfully if y'all would consider putting an agenda in the future meeting to vote and have a discussion about adopting the North Carolina Brunch Bill here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Next up is Sandy Smith. Oh, okay. Didn't see that out, but you thank you. Okay, so next up will be Katie Taylor.
Good evening, I'm Katie Taylor, 1282 Court Hall Road, King, in the Quaker Gap community. I need to give you a bit of background about myself before I tell you why I'm here. I retired from the state of North Carolina after 25 years of service. Prior to moving back to my husband's family home in 2003, I worked for 2 state agencies as a human resources manager and legislative liaison in Raleigh. After back to school to get my teaching license, and I work at West Oaks High School as an exceptional children's teacher. After I retired in June 2018, I had a brief but very worthwhile time serving on the Board of Education, where I was vice chair my second year. Because of my commitment to serving the children in our beautiful county, I became a guardian at Lyman for children on our foster care system, and then I served on the Stokes County Board of Social Services. My interest to serve on the board was not only for the children, but for adult services. Some that assist my sister-in-law, Donna. I am her legal guardian. Donna is 66 years old and has had moderate intellectual disabilities since birth. She has lived at Pretty Manor Assisted Living since 2012. I also served on the North Carolina State Boys Credit Union Advisory Board and on the board of Friends of Stokes Shelter. Sadly, when COVID hit, I had to resign from public health for a while because at that time I was one of my mother's primary caregivers. We could not risk getting her exposed to illness. She is now in the advanced stages of frontotemporal dementia. When the threat of COVID was no longer so severe, I re-entered public life in Stokes County. I currently serve as Vice Chair of Habitat for Humanity in Stokes County, Vice Chair of the Stokes County Tourism and Development Authority, and member of the Downtown King Partnership Advisory Committee, member of the Home Builders Association, Winston-Salem Stokes Alliance Group, and I recently joined the King Chamber of Commerce. I tell you all this to illustrate my commitment to serve. First on the state level and now in Stokes County for the last 20 years. My commitment to serving has deepened and is now more resolved than ever. In addition to the other roles I've mentioned, I now am the executive director of a newly formed nonprofit called the Chief Tedder Rescue Foundation. The foundation was started earlier this year before my husband, Steve W. Tedder, passed away on February 26th. Our mission is to help give peace of mind to those who can't speak for themselves as well as their caregivers. Our focus will be on residents in Stokes County, like Steve, who are stricken with conditions that leave them unable to communicate, like my mom and like Donna, as well as children, particularly the nonverbal autistic population and those with moderate to severe disabilities. Our board of directors includes Steve's daughter, Julie, an accomplished physician's assistant in Garner, her husband Chuck, the longtime safety and risk manager for the town of Mooresville, and our 15-year-old grandson, Liam, who helps me with web page development and researching grants. We have another member I will tell you about shortly. Steve, my husband, was officially diagnosed with a rare neurodegenerative disease called progressive supranuclear palsy, commonly referred to simply as PSP, on January 3rd, 2024. We had spent the previous 9 months visiting a wide range of physicians, to include his primary care physician, back surgeon, ENT, 2 cardiologists, memory care specialists, sleep disorder specialist, dentist, orthopedic surgeon, orthopedic spine care physician, spinal pain management physician, psychiatrist, optometrist, neuro-ophthalmologist, vision care therapy, optometrist, 4 general neurologists, 2 neurologists specializing in a movement disorder, and had numerous appointments with speech, physical, and occupational therapists. For a man who had spent 50 years serving the state of North Carolina working in the environmental protection, specializing in surface water quality, pioneering programs, researching scientific data and studies, writing rules, regulations, and legislation, traveling the state and the southeast regional states, making hundreds of public presentations, PSP was the most devastating diagnosis he could have received. PSP is a terminal disease. For Steve, his PSP journey started with a change in handwriting, dizziness, and speech issues. In the end, it left him with the inability to write, type, read, drive, use his dominant right side, drink and eat without the fear of choking, open his eyes on their own each morning, live without wearing special sunglasses, even in our home darkened with blackout curtains, speak and walk. He also suffered multiple falls that required assistance to stand back up. In our last week before going to the hospice home, the only way we could communicate was by holding hands while I recited the alphabet, and when I got to the right letter, we would spell out the word he was trying to communicate. I made a promise to Steve that the hellish journey we went through would not be in vain. I promised him his legacy would live on. Well, I can't give PSP the recognition it desperately deserves, like other more well-known terminal illnesses. The Chief Tedder Rescue Foundation will begin helping those in need in Stokes County. Steve wore 3 devices around his neck each day for the last 13 months of his life. One is a fall detection device. The second is a QR code dog tag that stored all his medical information, and he wore this whistle so he could blow it for help when I wasn't in the same room. When Chief Barney Castle of the Sourtown Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department was the first responder to help with one of Steve's many falls, Chief Barney Castle had never seen this QR code device and thought it was one of the greatest things he had ever seen as a first responder. Shortly after that fall, I came up with the idea for the foundation. I met with Chief Barney Castle to get his input, and then I told Steve of my idea. He was moved to tears. The name was derived to honor Steve and his late father, Ira Tedder, who also passed from a terminal illness. Both men held the title of chief in their respective careers serving others. Steve as chief of the Water Quality Section in the North Carolina Department of Environmental Management, and Ira as one of the founding members and first chiefs of the Sourtown Volunteer Fire Department. He helped train Wayne and dozens more. Chief Barney Castle graciously agreed to be the other member of our board. The money raised from the foundation thus far has not been touched. The fund is being built so we can have matching funds for future grant applications. I'm in the process of getting the foundation trademarked with an attorney. I have researched companies that offer medical devices like the one Steve wore in hopes of creating a partnership and expanding their product lines to ideas that I have for an all-in-one device. In the meantime, Stokes County, we need to get these devices in the hands and around the necks of those in need in Stokes County as soon as possible. These devices will not only lend to our mission of helping give peace of mind to those in need who can't speak for themselves, it will be a true asset to the first responders in the city of King and all of Stokes County. This will aid in making their job so much more efficient. Instead of spending precious time with all the required paperwork and questions, they can simply scan this QR code and then focus on the patient. As you know, in many emergency calls, time is critical. The focus should be on life-saving measures, not paperwork or filling out multiple tablet pages of information. I pledge to work closely with these teams. The first thing I need their help with is identifying those who need these devices. These devices will be given to vetted recipients who don't have the means to purchase them and or set them up. I want to help train first responders on how to look for and scan for the devices, as well as assist recipients upload their information. Since some of these device recipients will not be able to upload their information to the QR code applications, I plan to help them with this in a few different ways. I can go directly to them to help if they have internet service. If they do not, I can set up meeting times at their nearest fire station. Chief Barney Castle has already said that the department would be more than willing to assist. I hope to partner with the King Senior Center to do the same. This is the first public meeting I have attended to introduce the Chief Tedder Rescue Foundation's mission, focus, and plans. I'm looking for discounts and hopeful partnerships with companies that offer a wide selection of products that incorporate devices that I want to. I had to change this, okay, because something happened right before I got here. So, pardon me. So right away I want to get the QR code devices, but then I also want to get the fall detection devices. And I was almost late tonight because yesterday I reached out to a company that I thought would be the perfect fit and be a partner with us. I got a call back from them at 4:20 this afternoon and spent the next hour talking to the president and CEO of that company. Now I'm asking the City of King to help in this endeavor. At this time, I plan to ask each county municipality and the Board of County Commissioners to consider earmarking at least $500 during their budget discussions for the upcoming fiscal year to give to the Chief Tedder Rescue Foundation. Giving directly to the foundation will help me track data that will be necessary to include in grant applications for future plans. Well, I know you can't ask me direct questions at this time. I'll be happy to stay to discuss with you after tonight's meeting. And this is one of the ideas that I had. This is taking the QR code that I had, and I reached out to a company, not the one I caught the call from tonight, but this is a simple 3D made device, and they had never done this, but they took the QR code and they engraved it on this device. That's a 2-in-1, 3-in-1 snips. It can be done. I just need a little bit of help. Thank you for your time.
Councilman, thank you very much for your time. I just want to kind of give you a quick couple updates from Downtown King Partnership. A couple weeks ago, we had our Dinner on Dalton event, very well attended, 175 guests. The weather worked this time. Special thanks to the city council, city employees for their help in the event. Happy to say, as of right now, we still got a couple bills to come in, but we've raised close to $20,000 again on that event. So those funds will be used, we're gonna set some aside for next year's event, but then some different projects, and that kind of leads into the next thing I was gonna talk to everybody about. I placed with each one of you, with the manager and Nicole as well. On June the 17th, we will be having our first community event with the Main Street and Rural Planning Center. That's Lizzie Morrison. Will be coming down on the 17th. It will be at Dalton. It is a community-wide event that we are inviting the community to come to. We will be talking about community economic vision and workshops for downtown King and surrounding areas. Just kind of in a nutshell, everybody will gather, we'll break into small groups, they'll discuss ideas, they'll bring those ideas back to us, and then at our organization, that Councilman Lane is on as well, we'll start brainstorming those ideas, and hopefully at that point bring some things to city council to consider as far as moving forward with our continued development of downtown King and other areas. So encourage everybody to attend this that can. Again, it'll be June the 17th from 6 to 8. I will be forwarding this information in a link to Nicole to publicize through whatever city avenues we can to get the word out. So I'll be glad to answer any questions after the meeting from you about that event. But again, thank you guys for your continued support of Downtown King Partnership. Thank you.
No one else signed up for public comment. Close that session at 6:23. Thanks again for everyone that came to speak tonight. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you. First up is adjustments to the agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda that council or staff would like to make?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, could we, the Just by way of quick background, so that you'll know, have a background understanding of my experience. I was president of an economic development company that I successfully turned around. I understand Funding County. I served on multi-county workforce boards for a number of years, including 3 different chambers of commerce on their boards, and served in education. I was a turnaround specialist, and very successfully turned around a portion called continuing education of what was a small, turned out to be a very large community college in Texas. I'm thrilled to be back in North Carolina, my home state, after having been gone over 50 years. My mother grew up in Yaqui County. I had plenty of relatives in Stokes County, in fact, right next door, and a cabin that was built around 1850 next door to us. My wife and I both have relatives that were born and raised in that cabin next to us, the Krieger cabin, if you're familiar with where that cabin is. So it's a thrill to be back here. God planted us in the best city in North Carolina besides my birth city, King, North Carolina. And so I come to you with about 30 minutes of data, because I'm very data-driven, on a fund accounting basis. But I've just come with 3 basic points related to the budget, in particular related to the tax rate for the city of King for this next year. If I am not mistaken, in looking at the data, which I just got this morning, and spent a few hours going over the data, it appears to me that because of the tax valuation increase for Stokes County, which King is a part of, that the city of King will be the beneficiary of a 41% increase in tax revenue from real property inside the city of King versus last year. And because of that, what has happened in the case of my precious high school sweetheart wife and I, with our home has an increase of 31% valuation this year. What that means, if the tax rate remains the same as it is for King, then we will be paying 31% more in taxes without a tax rate increase. On average, the citizens of King, many of you here are residents, could enjoy a 41% increase. I did speak to one individual today in the city of King. I won't mention their name, but the valuation on their home went up 110%. Given a 110% increase in the valuation of their home, that's how much more they will pay taxes. Their taxes will more than double from last year to this year as a result of that. Stokes County, who I've spoken with several times, people there, they're actually decreasing their tax rate to help compensate for that increase in valuations by 13%. It's about a 9-cent decrease. They were going to do 10, but now they're about a 9-cent decrease from 67 cents per 100 valuation to 58 cents per 100 valuation. That helps some, but being on a fixed income and being a senior citizen, as my brother likes to remind me, at the tender age of 71, we have no other means to bring money in to continue to pay increased rates on taxes. So I simply come on behalf of myself and others that I've talked to ask you to consider at least, if not a 13% decrease in the tax rate, at least consider a small percent decrease in tax rate. As I'm sure you're aware, in the state of North Carolina, the insurance commissioner approved a rate increase that started yesterday, 7.5% homeowner on average in the state of North Carolina. It is also fixed for next year at 7.5% increase. Prices are going up, and my income is not as a senior citizen. And there's several senior citizens that are in this fair county city. Having been a demographer, I can tell you pretty much where we're headed. I know where we've been as a county, as a city. by taking that rate down at least 2 cents for this next year. It's not a lot of money in light of the budget, but it certainly would go a long ways for you to, when the sticker shock comes, as council, and people come to you and wonder why the tax bill has gone up so significantly. So anyway, I come to you with that information. I've got 30 minutes worth of data that I'd be glad to present at any time. Answer any questions. You've got my contact information. I go to church with the mayor. You'll probably tap me on Sunday after church. And what are you talking about? So I've got data out the wazoo, and be glad to share that with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dory. No one else signed up to speak, we'll close out. Didn't have anybody on public hearing. Close at 6:37. And at this point, I'll take a motion on this public hearing.
Does this include the ASBC?
This will, no ma'am. No ma'am, this is just item A. Yes, ma'am. We'll table that to discuss it at a budget meeting. That'll be a good point for you about the whole. Okay, item B, which we put on here, will be a presentation by Mr. Kenny Key. And I also have Taylor Mason, so he can show up. I was hoping you'd sing for us. Thank you, Mr. Key.
Thank you all. So not only am I representing the Stokes County Arts Council, which I'm executive director of, I am also a county of Stokes employee, and I have a title of Director of Arts and Cultural Services. And before I go any further, I have a Golden Leaf Foundation intern, summer intern, working at my disposal this summer. Lily Krabs is right here. So she is, yeah, she gets an applause, and I don't. She's majoring in arts management and also marketing at Appalachian State University. And so, Stokes County Arts Council, we have been successfully serving Stokes County since 1975. I have been there since February of 2004. And we have a great relationship with King, the city of King, which I am a resident of. And people often ask what types of programs that we provide in the area of King. What do you do? And arts education is one of our bigger programs. Stokes County schools, public schools, we are in all of your schools. We support financially your visual arts programs, your music programs, your band, your chorus, your theater, band uniforms, band instruments, music. Our Arts Council is oftentimes funneling a lot of money in there. We also are the ones bringing programs into your schools, such as the Winston-Salem Symphony, Piedmont Opera, Bailey Mountain Cloggers from Mars Hill, UNC School of the Arts programs, field trips to North Carolina Museum of Art, UNCG, introducing the students and the faculty to the cultural arts of our area and our state. And again, we've been doing that quite a while. We also have partners in the city, including the King Senior Center that we'd like to partner with. Downtown King Partnership, we're a member of the King Chamber of Commerce. We have programs at King Central Park, which most recently the Veterans Memorial Day, Memorial Day program, also Veterans Day programs. I have worked on either of those programs every year since November of 2004. And organizing and partnering with the King American Legion Post 290. And we've invited the mayor to come up and speak. And so we're honored to continue that. Military band concerts. Last I counted, it was over 20 different military band concerts that we've had at King Central Park. And outdoor theater, on community theater, concerts, Rocktoberfest, and we want to continue that relationship. Again, being a King resident, I'm honored to do that. And so, again, 50 years of service. I didn't bring any PowerPoints, but we want to continue that because we want to keep King residents involved in cultural arts. Education, it does also impact tourism, economic development, and we're proud of that. So, if you have any questions on that, I'm going to, I can take questions now or ask you later. But I want to transition over to, I think, C, which is, if that's okay.
And I do want to thank you for the next programs that you had, just like the Memorial Day. Thank you.
Absolutely.
For all you've done.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead and let you speak, and then we'll open it up to comment, public comment after you.
Okay.
And, again, 20 years of program at King Central Park, Rocktoberfest, community theater, a lot of different concerts and events. And oftentimes we sell concessions there. Sodas, water, hot dogs, popcorn. And without fail, almost at every event, someone tracks me down and asks why we don't do beer or wine sales at King Central Park. And I tell them that we cannot per city regulations. We have done beer and wine at events at Hanging Rock State Park because the state allows us to do that, and other private venues throughout the county. I have been filling out one-time special event permits with the North Carolina ABC Commission for at least 15 years when we are off campus at the Arts Council in some of these private locations. And, but we're not allowed to do that at King Central Park. So I'm here basically because of public questioning me if we would ever be able to do that. And so that's the reason I'm here. As far as what the city would do to regulate this, for us it starts, like at Hanging Rock State Park, it starts with the North Carolina ABC Commission application. They are the ones who regulate beer and wine sales and liquor sales in the state of North Carolina. Our organization has never partaken in liquor sales, but beer and wine we have. But the application is very thorough, and not every time have we been actually approved. But it involves the application, a rental agreement, a lease agreement with who we are dealing with, and in the past, again, that's been Hanging Rock State Park and other venues. We have to diagram the premises, present our nonprofit tax document, the purpose of the fundraiser when we're selling beer and wine, a criminal background check upon me, the person responsible for the organization. And we also have to have it approved by local law enforcement. So in the past, with county, it's always been County Sheriff's Department. So I have to meet with them. So this is an application that is, I just can't say I'm going to sell beer or wine somewhere. I have to go through a process. And again, the people at the state level who regulate this are the ones who approve or disapprove. And so with the city, if they were to consider allowing this at King Central Park, they would, regardless of what the city would approve or disapprove, the North Carolina ABC Commission is the authority on this. And so I would recommend you to look at the application before you went any further. Because again, this is their area of expertise. And also, I was talking to someone before tonight's meeting, and I'm going to bring this up. I said the city must already have some type of permitting function for this and be unaware of it. Because a few weeks ago, you have an event that I did not attend, but that we support through staging in a downtown King on a street, if I'm not mistaken. That's on a city street where beer, wine, or some alcohol was served. And in order to get that approved, this permit would have had to have been filled out. And it had to be approved by local law enforcement and the ABC Commission. And so if the city were to consider your wine sales at King Central Park, all you would have to look at whatever is already established for a downtown city street. Because I'm assuming that this is already in place, and then transfer that to a park. So, there you go. That's it. So the opportunity, if the city approves it, disapproves it, it's not gonna affect our relationship in the least. I don't wanna I'm just here representing, again, not myself, but patrons of the Arts Council that attend events, and they just wanted to be considered for the possibility. So,
I'll let the council have any questions.
I have a question. Is there any safeguard when people come into an event? I mean, will they be asked for their identification? Will they be searching bags to make sure they don't have?
we don't search bags, but servers are trained that by the state, you have to be server approved. And also with the diagram you present with the ABC Commission, you're only allowed consumption in a certain area. And again, you go over that with local law enforcement. Local law enforcement sometimes is present, sometimes not at these events, but it's self-enforced. But again, if you get an ABC Commission representative there, an agent that shows up at an event, and you're doing wrong, they will shut you down. But yeah, it's somewhat self-policed. You have, as the organization, when you submit this application, you're basically agreeing to, it's no more than 2 beverages. You have to check IDs. There's server training by the state that's required. And then there is an area that they must maintain. And we don't open the beverages. You're basically presenting it to the patron. So as many safeguards as possible. But then I'll go back again. I don't know how it was handled here most recently in the downtown, but it had to be a similar process.
What was that? Are you thinking about, food trucks that were?
No, the general Dalton.
Of the dear old doctor, okay. Yes, please.
We went through the whole process, just outline. We actually used stuff that was a framework.
Oh,
Dane, if you don't mind.
sorry, Dane.
The names, so everyone can hear you.
Yeah, so we went through the whole process that Eddie spoke of, went through the application process. We had trained bartenders, from one of our downtown, Stoco, one of our groups downtown. Every person got 2 tickets, that was it. Everybody, we did check IDs, as people came in, and as people attended, we also put a wristband on them to identify that they were there for that event. Not, hey, I'm gonna go to the Dalton and come out, hang out over here. So we put all those safeguards in place. We also had a liquor liability insurance. In our case, what we did is we named the city of King as additional insured on our policy, which just means that our policy is gonna take precedent, before the city gets involved on that. We did get a signature from the police department. So it is a thorough process on that. And they do ask those questions of, do you have licensed folks serving and all that? So it's not going to be Eddie and I standing at a keg handing out drinks or stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be somebody that knows what they're doing. Speaking from an insurance perspective, I would, if this does happen, I would require, the city to be named as additional insured on the policy, and it kind of protects everybody along the way. So, so so far it's worked pretty well for us. We did that for both General Dalton. We also did that for, we didn't have to do it for Oktoberfest because the alcohol that was served at Oktoberfest was in the restaurants itself. So it wasn't beyond that. If we talk about a social district, for Oktoberfest, we went ahead and got a liquor liability policy for the event just to cover everybody as well, so. A lot of safeguards along the way,
And they know no problems, no issues.
no problems whatsoever, with either event, on that. So, yeah.
I think the misconception is, some people think it's like brown bag, you bring your own.
Mhm.
But this is, you're serving
Mhm.
a minimum of 2 drinks
Mhm.
in that case.
Mhm.
And it's only beer or wine,
Correct,
no hard liquor.
correct.
So I think that's a misconception sometimes. People think that person's gonna be able to bring their own bag in the park and sit there and consume. It's not the case.
Well, I think if it's event specific, I think
Yes.
I think that kind of takes care of that, because you do put those safeguards in place that they will be checked, you know, coming in.
A little bit of what brought this on is I met with Eddie, the Mayor Pro Tem, and myself, and Ben, Mary, and we met with Eddie and Taylor at the park, to just see what we would need to do to bring bigger venues and different things to our park. And that's partially how this came about, so just for public knowledge and, how this came about. So,
And the city of King, as far as Stokes County Arts Council, it is already named as additional insured on our policy, on our special event policy. So again, that we have to have special event insurance in order, anything now that we have at King Central Park. We cover it through our special event insurance, and King is named, city of King is additional insured. So I've learned a lot from the insurance person. And again, this is something, I've learned from the North Carolina ABC Commission. If you're going to do this, you have to take it seriously. And all safeguards. Again, they regulate, they're the experts. And so, I recently had some training, actually presented at the King Library, Mike Gates from the North Carolina ABC Commission. So we stay in touch with them. We have an ABC, retail permit, at the Stokes County Arts Council. So our inventory is updated all the time. Again, this is something that's no different than any retail location that sells beer or wine. And we do this at Stokes Arts for our events. And again, we've been successful doing this at least for 15 years. And we were the first arts council to do this at a state park in North Carolina once they allowed it. And we've had two events there. And I can tell you, being under the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, they require safeguards because this trickles up. It makes them look bad if we were to do something not correct.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
No other questions? Thank you so much. And at this time, it's 6:54. I'll open this up for public comment at 6:54. And this will be concerning this, and I have Diane Irvin.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I think a lot of really good points were made on this. My major concern being a neighbor adjacent to Central Park, and also the Morgans are here and also are adjacent to Central Park. And what makes Central Park different when we're considering alcohol in larger events is the park is in the middle of a neighborhood. It is not like a downtown park. It's not Hanging Rock State Park. There's homes and neighborhoods in all perimeters of this park. So I think that has to be taken into consideration, especially if we're talking about drawing larger events. And what I heard was the recommendation of bringing alcohol to Central Park is more people would attend these events if beer and wine were available. But I think that brings some inherent problems. Number one, being in a neighborhood. Residents and children surround that perimeter of the park, while other municipalities that do offer beer and wine or alcohol at events in their parks are in a strict downtown area. It's not in a natural area park that people can be wandering around. Secondly, along that same line is the increased traffic brings a lot of concerns to those neighborhoods. If we look to our neighbors that are in the Maple and Phelps area, There is constant traffic that is misdirected, number one, because of Google Maps. If you look for Central Park, it takes you in that back service entrance in a neighborhood. There is a city sign that says Central Park this way. That's not correct. So signage really needs to be changed before we consider bringing in events that will increase traffic into those neighborhoods and make sure that the traffic is properly redirected. For those larger events, I would suggest even putting a police officer so people are not coming into that neighborhood and making sure that they are redirected. But more importantly, from a safety standpoint, Central Park's infrastructure in its current conditions needs resources. Cynthia and I met with Ben last Sunday, and this is in no fault of Ben or of Gina that handles the Parks and Recreations Department. Resources, they have been put on additional job responsibilities on them, and since we no longer have a park director, the condition of the park needs attention. It needs resources. For over a year, the lights that light the path have been out. Over 50% of them have been out for over a year. We've been reporting this, and apparently it has something to do with Duke Power. But before you're having events there that could potentially go into the evening, you've got to be concerned with safety measures. Lighting being number one. Surveillance cameras. I understand that there is now the technology that we can put surveillance cameras out in the park from a safety and public safety standpoint. I hope this is strongly considered before you're bringing in larger events or selling beer and wine. There's been a lot of trees that have been down over the last couple of years. Rather than removing them, they're simply pushed deeper into the woods. And this spring has been a horrendous snake problem. So, safety. Safety number one before you're considering larger events. The boards on the walking bridge are warped. Someone's going to trip and fall. If you're bringing large groups in, you've got to consider what the city liability is. In addition, we've got park signs, 2 up there, that for the past 3 years, the hours of the park have changed, that they close at 10 p.m. For 3 years now, there's a piece of brown tape over the hours of operation. Nobody knows when the park is supposed to close. And the next sentence under where the hours are supposed to be says, no alcoholic beverages. So I just ask, are we ready to open Pandora's box? Is you so properly brought up, does this mean brown bagging? What does it mean for the people that are coming in to fish and there's an event going on? Is that a confusing message, is my question. I know we talked a little bit about the application process. I'm glad to know that it would be reviewed and approved by at least the chief of police, the fire chief, and the city manager. But we've got to be able to oversee the maintenance. After these large events, even if the vendor is responsible for cleanup and maintenance, we don't have maintenance people on staff on Sundays. Often there are family parties or something at the picnic shelter, and while they're put their trash in the barrels, it's overflowing and there's nobody there on Sunday to help clean up for the next event that may be coming and running that space. I would be happy to know that there would be a drink minimum or drink limit of no more than 2 drinks, and would hope the event would be limited to 3 hours so others can enjoy that space, which would be a large amount that would be taken by a large event. And lastly, I've talked to some other municipalities about this same topic. Number one, they don't serve alcohol in any neighborhood parks. And second, the police are on force. It is required by the vendor or the person, the applicant, wanting to have an event there, that there is 1 police officer per entrance into the park. If you look at Central Park, that's 4 entrances. And that is paid for by the person that is sponsoring the event, in addition to paying for park maintenance staff for cleanup the next day. So again, I'm going to pause, and if you have any questions, but I just want to end by asking the question, Is the city ready to open Pandora's box by allowing alcohol on city property? Thank you for your time.
Yeah, just one second, I'm gonna ask, any council members have any questions?
No.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you so much. No one else signed up, to speak, so we'll close that at 7:01. And I think Ben, Marion, you were going to speak on this topic, correct?
Yes, sir. So, changes to the ordinance. It's chapter 20 in our code of ordinances, and chapter 20 deals specifically with parks and recreation. Chapter 20, section 6 is basically, we just cleaned up some of the verbiage about the parks and rec director. Since we do not have a parks and rec director right now, we just changed everything to contact information to the city of King, just to visit our website or call the city hall number here instead of going directly to a phone number that doesn't exist anymore. That's section 6. Section 10 is the article or subsection 11 is the change that we made to the ordinance to allow alcohol at the park per a special event permit. So, the misconception is that we're just gonna change the sign that says no alcoholic beverages at the Central Park to alcohol is now permitted. That's not true. You have to have a special events permit by the city of King in order to be able to sell or consume alcohol on our premises. And that would only be at Central Park, not at recreation acres. The verbiage in this was taken from a local municipality and with their verbiage, and so that's kind of what we used to outline the guidelines for this. A lot of that details about what is and is not allowed will be in the special events permit, and we're going to bring a revised special events permit next month in July. So, and this was a collaboration of a bunch of staff members, and then also at the recommendation of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board. This was a topic that they brought up in March, is that right, the March meeting? April meeting. And so, you know, they voted unanimously to move forward with this and asked us to bring it to the council meeting and bring it before you guys, so that's what we're doing. And so with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Council, any questions from you?
Yes, Vivian, did you say that, you're gonna revise this, proposed ordinance?
No, we're revising, this is the revision to the ordinance change, what you got
Okay.
left here. What we're changing is the special events permit. But anytime there's an event in Central Park downtown, a special events permit has to be obtained, and that has to be reviewed by, depending on what the event is, it has to be reviewed by whoever, one of the staff members from the Parks and Rec right now is Ms. Calloway, and then the police chief and fire chief, depending on what the street closures is. But of course, with this ordinance would allow alcohol, that would have to be reviewed by the police chief and the fire chief. If somebody is trying to serve or sell alcohol in the park without a special events permit, the only way they can do that is to get a resolution by the city council. So there's only two ways to allow alcohol in the park. That's by resolution by the city council
Corey George. I'm representing High Meadow Lodge this evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I believe we've met several times now. Ms. Farmer and Ms. Tillman could not be here tonight. Ms. Tillman had some surgery, so they were not going to be able to make it tonight. So I'm here on their behalf.
Council, have any questions of Mr. George? I do want to draw your attention on the discussion and analysis. It says, in speaking with owner representative, they're going to request conditions 7 and 8 be removed. So if you look on your packet, you'll go back to page 84, in this section. They're asking for number 7 and number 8 to be removed on there. And number 7 is a turn lane off Golf Road, and then also the speed zone off on Golf Road. And that would be established by NCDOT standards unless the NCDOT refuses the request. I think that's only two things that I had a question on here. Unless council has any questions.
Just a little bit of background while we're
Yes, sir.
asking for those to be removed is we've essentially gotten DOT's response that they won't allow it. So they said that speed zone change is a no-go. And we've had several discussions, I think with Scott as well, with DOT that DOT has said that even a turning lane wouldn't do anything regarding our trip count being so low that they didn't anticipate a turning lane providing any value into the site. So we do acknowledge that we will still have to go through the driveway permit process with NCDOT, in which case they will review the driveway entrance in detail in regards to the driveway manual. And so at that time, there is a potential for us to have to shift it a little bit in order to meet their design standards for site distance. So
I think that was one thing we did question before, was where that driveway was going to be positioned
that's right.
to make it as safe as possible.
That's right. So we're willing to accept, a condition